Welcome back to Old Roommates. Today on the show, we revisit the 1982 version of Annie. So bet your bottom dollar you're gonna like this episode. Maybe. Tune in to find out.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Old Roommates, the only podcast that revisits pop culture through a middle-aged lens. This is Brian.
And this is Christina.
Christina, you threw me for a second when you said welcome back, because I was like, wait, what?
Where were we?
Where were we? We're always with you.
We are always with you. Starting our third year.
And this is wild.
Yikes.
Yeah. So we're starting with Annie. And we begin, as we always do, by talking about then. So, 1982, or at least Christina, when was the first time you saw Annie?
I have no idea the first time I saw this movie. I feel like I've seen this movie several times, but it's also like there's so many different versions of Annie, and it doesn't help the fact that Emily has been in the play Annie several times.
Emily is your daughter.
Emily is my daughter. Yes, for those of you just tuning in.
That's right.
So she's been in the play, so I'm very familiar with a lot of the songs and a lot of the dialogue and the characters. So I'm trying to think back of when I first saw the 1982 version, and I have no idea. But it was a while ago. And I do remember when Emily was in Annie for the first time was about 10 years ago. And I remember starting, like, I don't think I sat through the whole thing of this, but I know I watched some of it as sort of let's watch Annie because you're in it. So I know I watched at least some of this version about 10 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, and I mean, and I've always liked Annie. It's, I don't know, it's like Christmas kind of, right? Like it's one of those movies that I think people know the songs and they know the story, and you just sort of forgive a lot about the movie because of the story. And it's always been sort of a fun movie for me to watch.
Yeah.
What about you, Brian?
It's funny because I have seen this several times, possibly in the double digits way back when. It was on HBO, I think, relentlessly. Because I don't want to jump into now. I don't want to yet. But one thing during this rewatch was I knew every single word to every single song.
Wow.
And yet, if you had asked me before I did the rewatch, I would have said, like, oh, I've seen it a couple times. It's fine. But when I, thinking back, I remember it being fine. I remember being, because I would have been, so on HBO, I probably would have been, 12.
Sure.
Because I was 10 in 82, so probably 12 or, 13. But whatever reason, it was on a lot. And I remember loving, Carol Burnett. I remember loving quite a few of the songs and how catchy, truly catchy they were.
Yes.
And, but I do remember, weirdly enough, the second half feeling really slow to me. But even as a kid or a younger person, I remember feeling a little bored. And then it got exciting at the end again. But I remember being oh, this is a long movie. Even as a kid.
And it definitely slows down in the middle. And actually, we had seen the Broadway show, not on Broadway, but kind of like an off-Broadway show in Boston in the past. I want to say, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 years ago. And I remember that, just the whole part with the president and everything really just slowed it down for me. I'm like, oh my gosh, when is this movie going to end?
Yeah.
So I definitely had that feeling too, in the movie as well, but more so even watching it on the stage.
So now we're going to dive into now. Christine, when did you rewatch this?
I watched it in parts, actually.
Oh.
Started yesterday morning and finished last night.
Oh, okay.
So only because it was such a long movie, and My DVD player is so annoying because it doesn't tell you how much time is
I
left.
remember this.
So I know I need to get a new DVD player or something, but it's you know where, like, you've seen the movie, you know kind of where you are in it, but it's still like, okay, how much time is left? How many musical numbers are left?
Yeah.
How many? So,
But you know that I struggle with musicals in
Yes.
person. Like when I, so here in Rhode Island, there's Theater by the Sea, which it puts on a lot of great shows. But when I lived in New York, I didn't really go to Broadway that much. And but I would, whenever I did, I always looked at the song list in your playbook to be like, how much longer? How much
Yes.
longer? Because I think that in a way it almost, like, I like having that song list so I know where we're at in a story.
Yeah.
But yeah, musicals, it's weird. I think that's like is some of the, probably well, I don't know if it's the least gay thing about me, but it's like, I'm not a big musical fan.
Sure.
I'm just not. But so diving into now, I watched this on Friday, and immediate, and what are your immediate takeaways? What was your first?
it was great. I mean,
Yeah.
I my first takeaway is I was happy about it, but you know, you're looking at it through like the middle-aged lens for one
Right.
thing, but also you're looking at it as a film critic. So a lot of the little things kind of bothered me. I feel, and I'm not going to, okay, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to be child bashing throughout this episode,
No.
but I do feel like some of the children could have been cast in a different way. Just the acting of some of the children, not the main character. The main character
Okay.
was great. I mean,
Aileen
Quinn, yeah, she was great. I thought I thought she did a really nice job. I mean, she was pretty hammy in a lot of places, but she was all in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in every single scene, every number, she was all in. She had so much energy. So even if she was like a little bit over the top at some point, like, I was totally good with that. But some of the other actors, like the orphans, I think some of them just sort of bothered me a little bit.
To which I say, oh my goodness. Oh my
no,
goodness.
no. That's funny. So, but I loved, especially the beginning numbers, like the, you know, maybe.
Yeah.
I remember word for word, and it's such a pretty song. It's sad in all the
Yeah.
right places, and
Well, because, if I can interrupt you,
Of
and I'm
course.
sorry, but when you hear maybe, at least for me, I thought she was singing about the people that would adopt her and give her a new life.
Mm-hmm.
You only realize more into the song that she's singing about the people that gave her up.
yes,
And that's sad. And
Yeah.
I will add on to what you're saying, because I actually think the movie starts a little solemnly, like
Mm-hmm.
just that purple fabric background with a locket on it, and it's Tomorrow,
Yeah.
which I would argue she has more of an accent when she's singing that version, and it was a little annoying to me.
Mm-hmm.
But then when she sings Maybe, she sounds fantastic, and I think it's I mean,
Tomorrow doesn't.
what's
I
the
mean,
first song of that? What's the
The
first
first
song?
song is
Maybe. But when for opening credits, it's that purple
Oh, it's
fabric
the- yeah,
and the
it's-
locket.
I know,
Annie,
okay,
yeah, and they show the
yes.
pictures of the cast.
It's actually kind of like a montage of songs in that
Is
the
it?
beginning. Yeah,
Oh, jeez.
just I mean, it's not obviously montagey, but there's-
Christina, I don't want to fight about Annie.
already
But right
we
now,
have
no,
10
but wait a
seconds
minute.
in.
No, but Christina, the beginning of this movie
Yes.
is it's a purple fabric background with the locket.
Yes.
And it says, and it has the cast names. And then as it has the cast names, it shows the face in the locket.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we saw the same.
Yes.
I thought she was singing Tomorrow.
It was a
It's a
music.
medley?
It was a
You think it's a
medley,
medley,
and
okay.
it wasn't. There was no voices in that either. It was just music.
Well, I think it's available on
Because Hard
Amazon. I
Knock-
think
yeah,
it's on
Hard Knock
Prime. I think
Life
it's-
is there,
I mean,
yeah.
we could end this. We'll end this like after
Absolutely,
this episode. Yeah.
absolutely. This and the friendship too.
Ah!
So.
All right, so really quick, written by Carol Sobieski, who we've mentioned
Yes!
on this show before. Where? Do you remember?
Fried Green Tomatoes.
Very good.
Yes.
So for a little bit of film history, Carol Sobieski was the one who adapted Fried Green Tomatoes first, and she made it a musical. And it was apparently great. The script, the songs were great, but the director was like, "This is great, but it's not the movie we want to make." So he brought in other people, and they totally changed Fried Green Tomatoes as a film. Carol Sobieski wrote Annie, and a lot of the songs in the film are not in the musical, and I didn't know that.
Yes,
like
I did.
Sandy,
Yep.
Dumb Dog, Let's Go to the Movies, which we'll get there, but kill me.
Well, and there's other songs in the musical that are not in the movie.
Yes,
so,
the FDR
yes.
song. Yeah, New
So,
York City. I think
New
it's
York City
yeah.
is in place of, I think,
Let's Go to the Movies.
Let's Go to the Movies.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So there's a couple of different...
But yeah, so then directed by John Huston, and I will say like a bit of trivia here is that he's done movies like The Maltese Falcon, I think The African Queen. What was the one? Hold on one second.
So not your typical
No, he was a weird
musical...
choice. Prizzi's Honor. Prizzi's Honor was after Annie, but The Man Who Would Be King, The African Queen, The Asphalt Jungle, The Treasure of the Sierra Madre. So he directed a lot of classics, and when he was picked for Annie, there's a lot of Hollywood drama. Like,
Sure.
why him? He's never made a musical. He deals with more grown up actors, and it's like, what is this? What is he? How is he? What is he going to do to this movie? Is it going to be too dark?
Right.
Like, this is a story of Annie, for God's sake. And so the movie didn't do great box office. It was a very expensive movie to make. It did end up being the 10th highest grossing movie of 1982, but it didn't really make its money back because it was so expensive.
Well, just the cast alone, I
but
imagine.
also the rights to Annie, I think cost
sure.
around $7 million. And I think the budget was, oh God, I'm gonna get it wrong. I think honestly the budget was like $30 million.
Sure.
But at the time, 1982, for a movie like that was considered outrageously expensive.
Sure. I mean,
So-
think about the names that's in it, though. I mean,
Yeah.
Albert Finney,
Yeah.
Cal Burnett, Tim
Yeah.
Curry, Bernadette Peters. I
Yeah.
mean, those are some big names. And I'm not sure, who was Grace? What was her name?
Oh, Anne Reinking.
Anne Reinking.
Who
So she must be Broadway.
She's Broadway. She
Yeah.
is, God, I don't know, shit, I'm gonna get it wrong.
I remember the
I'm
name.
gonna get it wrong, but I feel like, oh, jeez. Alright, I'm gonna say this, it might be a lie, I'll check during the break. But I think Anne Reinking, isn't she the one who was like, that got involved with Bob Fosse, and that sort of pulled him away from Gwen Verdon? I could
Wow,
be
that's
wrong.
quite an accusation, Brian. That's
check.
usually
I'm
my...
gonna check. But I will say,
That's
that's
usually
your
what I
business. That's
do.
usually what you do. Usually trash people's personal
But
lives.
I usually say, I don't really know.
But I don't know. Allegedly. Can I say that allegedly?
Sure.
I'm sure people, I mean, I know I'm going to get emails and texts when this comes out. I could name
I
the
can
people.
hear
that
them being texted right now. I can
But
hear it.
Anne Reinking, oh my God, is she gorgeous. Beautiful.
Yes.
And she is an amazing dancer.
So
And
as soon as she started dancing, I'm like, oh, she's a Broadway dancer.
she is such an amazing dancer. She looks light as a feather. Her dancing in this is seamless. Her hair, I mean, the flow. I mean, she's like Jacqueline Smith-esque with the hair, but also like the dancing. I mean, she is...
Yeah, super talented.
Amazing.
Super
Yeah.
talented.
Yeah.
And even a good actor, too.
Oh, yeah, she
I
was
mean, I
good.
thought she was
Yeah.
good
I
at
like
the
the
acting,
scene
too.
with Daddy Warbucks at the table when he tells her her teeth are crooked and all that kind of stuff.
love
I don't
that.
think that aged super well, but they have cute chemistry. You can see why she likes him.
Yes.
You know, I mean, and it feels real.
It
doesn't
does
feel like
there were conversations before that particular day.
Yes.
They were a little bit sort of flirty, and now Annie is kind of giving them that opportunity to spend more time personally together, and it's been brewing, and now it's sort of reaching the head. So yeah,
Yes.
I agree. And I like her scenes with Annie too. I think her
Yeah.
her scenes with Annie are really sweet when they were getting ready to go to the movies.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really sweet scene. Definitely sort of like a mother-daughter scene.
Yes. And what I think, too, is that I think when Annie was talking about all the clothes she had, and that she didn't want to bring them with her because she thinks the parents would feel bad, right?
Yes.
And what she said instead is, can we bring all these clothes to the orphanage for my friends? And I think that it just connects with Grace, Anne Reinking's character, as like, oh God, she's such a good person.
She's such a good girl.
You know?
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
I think, and to be honest, I know this movie's very long, but if anything, I would have wanted more scenes like that. Like, her scene with Daddy, Aileen Quinn's scenes with, Albert Finney, like when they're swimming. Like the scenes are so short, but they have good chemistry. Like because if anything, through my middle-aged lens, you know, besides the fact that like the orphanage is full of gymnasts, my big argument is like I don't get why Daddy Warbucks wants Annie. Mm-hmm. They didn't have enough of a connection. If anything, she was playing like matchmaker for him. But I didn't feel.
Well, yeah, I think it was too quick in that. He doesn't want to spend time with her. He doesn't even want a girl.
That's right.
He doesn't even want an orphan. It's just for publicity's sake.
Yeah.
She comes into his life. She basically guilts him into taking her to the movie.
1,000%.
They have that one moment. They go to the movies. They don't really have a connection.
She falls asleep.
Yeah. He puts her to bed with Grace. That's sort of like the moment.
Yeah.
When she's not even awake.
Right.
And the next morning, I mean, in his defense, he does say no right away when Grace is like, let's adopt her.
Yeah.
And they're not even together. And she's like, I'll take care of her. You just adopt her. She can be your ward.
Yeah.
She has all these ideas. And he says no right away.
Yeah.
But, like, within 2 minutes, he decides, yes, okay, fine, I'll adopt her. And you don't understand really why.
That's my point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm agreeing with you.
Oh! Well,
Yes.
Look at that.
I am agreeing with you. So, yes, I agree. There's just not a lot of... There should have been more scenes with them together beforehand to get why he's charmed by her already. I think the audience is left because this is a version. I mean,
it's a built-in. It's a built-in story. Yeah, you don't need so many.
We've read the comic book.
That's right.
We've seen the play. We've seen 25 different versions of the movie, and so now, we don't have to see the whole connection starting. But it would have been nice because I do feel like the two of them had great chemistry as actors together. Yeah. I loved their scenes. I loved all of their scenes together. My favorite scene of them is when he is talking to her about being adopted. Mm-hmm. Because he's still trying to be businessman. Yeah. He's like giving her a proposal,
right,
and she's just like trying to follow. And he's like, let's go for a walk, and they go for a little walk, just all business. But it's really, really sweet.
It is.
Like, I love that whole scene. Mm-hmm. I like the chemistry between the two of them. And then even at the end when she's explaining to him, why she doesn't want to be adopted by him, it's heartbreaking. Yeah. It is really, really touching. She does an excellent job. You just feel bad for her because she still has so much hope, and you're like, oh, sweetie, take the millionaire.
I was more like, sweetie, just put a disclaimer in there that if my real parents don't show up, I'll be yours. Or just be like, it'll be an interim arrangement. You'll pay for my life. I'll stay in the mansion. Yeah. Yeah, and then if my real parents show up, we'll figure it out.
You can be my rich uncle from now on.
So I will say this, Aileen Quinn, I mean, wow, I think she's incredible in this. And in my little bit of research, she got these awful organizations were calling her the worst actress of the year.
Oh, no.
Like a little girl. I mean, Hollywood is tough.
Especially in the 80s, I feel like they were really
just being so mean. Like the girl, how old is this girl?
She won the worst
actress thing was like they didn't call them was it the Raspberries? And then there was also another one called the Stinker Awards.
Oh my.
But it's all in Wikipedia, but it's like, I mean, the girl, it's like she's in almost every scene of this movie. She is dancing, singing, acting, crying, laughing, running. I mean, climbing a bridge, for God's sake.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this girl is like really put through the paces. I think she's really quite good.
I think she is too.
Like through my, cynical, bitter lens. I think she's great in this.
I think she is too. She was nominated for a Golden Globe.
She was, yeah, and Carol Burnett was as well. And the movie was nominated for a couple Oscars, like Best Music from an Adapted Something, and Best, what was it? Editing.
For an Oscar, are you talking about?
Yeah. 2 Academy Award nominations. And again, like, outside looking at it, looks like it was a success, because not top 10 blockbuster, but of 82, but considering the budget, the marketing, all of that stuff, it ended up not being very successful.
And what about rentals? It wasn't. I
didn't look
take
into
consideration
that.
Because that tells me it's made its money back over the years. Mm-hmm. Just as a parent, let's rent Annie.
Yep. Let's get into my next note is Carol Burnett. Mm-hmm. She's Awesome.
She, honestly, I mean, I love Aileen Quinn.
Yeah.
But Carol Burnett is, like, the star of this movie.
She is,
I love every scene she's in. I cracked up. I think it's her first line when she walks into the room and she's drunk. Like, she's drunk through the whole thing, which is so great. I feel like
Good.
I feel like, so I used to have, like, this drunk impersonation.
Yes.
As Brian knows. And I feel like she was always who I emulated in my little drunkenness. But her first line that she says is, "Did I hear singing in here?" And I busted out laughing because it reminded me of you during our Christmas episode when we were talking about the Grinch and how you hated that he was singing. And I'm like, I could just see Brian showing up in Whoville.
I didn't even think of that. I didn't connect that. My funny thought was her silhouette. You see her shadow first.
Yes.
Approaching. And it's ominous. Right. And then the shadow pauses and she like takes a swig from her bottle. And it is the funniest thing. And I credit John Huston with that. I credit Carol Burnett with that because she is a threat to them, but she's a funny threat. But I will say that does create some challenges later on for me through my middle-aged lens. But she is so funny. She's so good. Every line, everything. Like, she is so exhausted by these girls. But she also knows she has to run this thing to get money, and clearly she's spending the money on her outfits and jewelry and booze. And she's not spending very much on these poor orphans. But
her song "Little Girls" is my favorite song of the whole.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah, 100%. My favorite song of the whole movie.
And they stomp on her feet.
They aren't innocent.
They hide in her armoire and scare her. Like they're not like the nicest girls in the world.
No, it's definitely like this mutual relationship that they have going on. Neither one of them are nice to the other.
Right. So. I wrote down the whistle, the drunkenness, the terror, the misery. It's just that whistle is so... I laughed every time, and it's like such an old joke, but she blows the whistle and gives herself a headache because she's drunk. But it's very, very funny. And oh my God, there is one scene where she's running into her... Oh no, she's bringing Daddy Warbucks into her office.
Sure.
And there's an orphan like standing in the hall.
And she throws
her against the bench. I laughed out loud.
Well, she kisses her first, pretending, and then she throws her aside.
Yeah.
I loved that song with Carol Burnett and Albert Finney. I had no recollection of that song.
Is it called Sign? Is that what it was? What's it called?
I don't remember what the name of it is. To be honest. But I thought it was so good. I felt like they were so good together. Again, the chemistry between these two actors, the chemistry between these sets of actors were like off the chain. It really was. It made the movie for me. But that song was really cute, how she's just trying to,
seduce him,
and he wants nothing to do with it. And
well, I liked when she sort of splashed at the end in the bathtub, and he was like, tasted the water, and he was like, it's like filled with booze. But I think I also would say, even with like Carol Burnett and Ryan King, it's like Carol Burnett, she's like an anchor in this. Like, she's just, you just know what you're going to get. And she, oh my God. Well, even with like Bernadette Peters with the cigarette, and she like flicks the ashes in Bernadette Peters' cleavage. Like,
there's so many things that you know are Carol Burnett.
But I want to dive into one scene.
Okay, let's hear it.
The scene with Grace and Mrs. Hannigan.
Okay.
I'm going to guess you had an issue with her removing Annie from the orphanage without any paperwork, no proof of identification.
Yeah, it's yeah.
But also, why isn't, this is a question I had now, I didn't think about it then, but why does Mrs. Hannigan not want to get rid of Annie? Annie is a nightmare for her.
I think, I have an answer for this.
Oh, good, okay.
I think for two reasons. Number one, she just came back from running away. I think that Miss Hannigan wants to punish her.
Got it.
And the last thing she wants, like, she can't stand Annie, so why would she want Annie to be living in the life of luxury?
Oh.
So I think that that's what it is. She doesn't want her to have any kind of happiness.
Interesting. So I was thinking like she should just be like, take her. Like I think that would have been funny as well.
Right.
You know, she's keeping this girl like trapped in a closet. And I did think that was funny with Grace, where it's like this little kid who's being kept in a closet is like coaching her on what to say, and then
Yes.
you know Mrs. Hannigan catches on and closes the door. I liked a lot of that, but I did think it was funny. Like that seemed awfully easy.
Very quick.
Yeah.
And yes, no paperwork whatsoever. And she didn't even know who she was to begin with. It would be one thing if she knew she worked for Daddy Warbucks immediately, but she didn't. She thought she was selling her.
Well, first she thought she was like what, from the city?
From the city,
Yeah.
from the
Checking in.
yes.
Yeah. Well, and then is that where Grace knocks on the door or whatever, and you hear the screaming? Oh no!
No,
What happens?
That's Daddy Warbucks when he shows up and says he wants to
like,
adopt
1
her.
minute, yeah.
And then she's like, "Yeah, 1 minute."
And then she does a blood-curdling scream.
I did find that the adults in this film, aside from Daddy Warbucks and Grace, and the people, anybody in the mansion,
Yeah.
were very mean to children.
Give me an example.
The scene that hops to mind
Yeah.
is when Annie had run away and found Sandy and was
Yeah.
saying that it was her dog.
Yeah.
So the dog catcher, for one thing, that was what's his face? Larry Hawken.
Well, he's
Hang
from She's Having a Baby, right? The guy, he was sitting in the lawn chair, She's Having a Baby, and
Yes. He's
Yeah,
been in
yeah.
a couple of things that we've
Okay,
revisited
all right.
already, I think. Anyway, I feel like he's popped up a lot in our conversations. He says to her, what was the word exactly? He says, "He's no more your dog than I am your father."
ooh, that's right.
Like, she's an orphan.
Yeah, that's right.
And then, when she's trying to call the dog,
Yeah.
all the adults
I'm
around
making fun of her.
are calling
Like,
the dog
hey,
by
Fido,
different names.
Bingo, yeah.
Like, why are you being so rude to this poor little orphan
I
who
know.
just wants a dog?
Yeah.
Who cares if she wants
Who
a
does,
dog?
right, exactly.
So, yeah, a couple of different situations there.
I have a note more about, speaking of like the disruptive people, Daddy Warbucks is on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Annie and Punjab choose out of every room in this
I knew you were going to have an issue with this scene. I knew it.
because it's chaos.
I'm like,
it's that
I'm
80s.
watching this and I'm like, Brian is having a fit right now.
It's that chaos thing because they're in a mansion, for God's sake. They have the choice of any room in the house, and they pick Daddy Warbucks' office while he's on the
Yep.
phone
Yep.
to fly planes, to throw things around. Sandy's barking, everyone's running. Sandy's
Yeah.
barking at a possible intruder, a terrorist, really. He has a bomb, he like throws it through the window. I did laugh at and I laughed when I was a kid too. I remember that, like when Punjab picks up the bomb and like spins around
Yes.
dramatically. I like that. And the and then similarly, the orphans keep interfering with Mrs. Hannigan's privacy.
Yes.
She's at the radio. She's trying to make out with the radio, and then she's singing to herself, and they're like jumping out from every corner.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I did wonder, like, it's like, is it absolutely necessary? Like, do you have to be like? And I feel like both cases, I'm like, I felt bad for Daddy Warbucks and for Mrs. Hannigan.
Yes. Like I said, it was a two-way street with Mrs. Hannigan. Like,
Yeah.
those kids were not nice kids. And she deserved some of it, but then they deserved to have cold mush. But
Oh, that made me laugh out loud. I remembered that line.
I
It's like,
remember that line from Emily's
we
play.
won't
Mostly.
be having. Is it warm? Is that what it is? We won't be having warm mush today.
Hot mush?
Yay! Hot mush.
I don't
today.
remember.
Yay! We're having cold mush. Oh. What?
I still use.
We love you. And at one point she just goes, oh, "Shut up."
Ah, shut up. I love her attitude towards the kids. It's so fun. I could talk about Carol Burnett all day.
My next note is my least favorite sequence in the movie Annie. I do think it differs from when I was a kid. I think when I was a kid, my least favorite sequences were with Rooster and Bernadette Peters.
Agreed. Though I love them this time around.
Yeah, I like them this time around. First of all, I have a lot of problems with this. It's like, let's go to the movies, wait and see. Like, and you really do wait. That is a long effing song. It's a long sequence. I don't even understand the point of it.
I don't understand it either.
I actually think it would have been a better scene. They have the Rockettes in there. There's like fireworks. There's craziness. There's
this is, you know what I think they're trying to do? I think they were trying to combine the musical. What was the name of the song?
New York City or
New York
NYC
City.
Or...
I think they were trying to combine the play's musical number with this musical number, and it wasn't necessary because they're showing all about New York and all, but it's not about New York. She lives in New York.
Yeah,
it's about going to the movies.
Yeah,
and it
didn't feel like a movie.
It didn't feel like it wasn't. At one point, I said, "Was it a movie?" Like because it took so long for it to lead up to that damn movie.
I think it would have been all the more interesting if it was no frills. They just went to the movies, and Annie had never been to a movie theater before, and just because what you then have is something as simple as a movie theater, or as simple as a movie, means so much to this little girl, whereas Daddy Warbucks just rented out the entire thing.
Right.
Like, seeing it through her eyes, or Grace seeing it through Annie's eyes, is like, wow, this is a moment for Annie, but it's like any day for us, and... That would have been much more powerful.
Yes, they didn't need the Rockettes and the fanfare
oh my God,
and the fireworks and
oh my God, that is
so much.
Long. Oh my God, that is the longest scene, and it's not very. I mean, listen, yeah, Rockettes. I expect they know how to dance. They do a great job dancing. The song isn't very good. I would argue it doesn't even really rhyme all that well.
Yeah, it's
like it's just. Oh, and then the movie. Camille.
Oh my gosh.
The movie is Camille.
And
it's like you're taking.
They show like 5 minutes of this movie.
Way too long. And I get like they're showing.
Understand.
And they're showing Grace crying, and I get that. But Daddy Warbucks is not looking at Grace, and he's not looking at Annie. He's just sort of horrified by the whole thing.
Yes.
And Annie's falling asleep. The dog falls asleep. And Grace is in tears, which you could have gotten to that a lot quicker.
All of that could have happened in a 10-second clip of the movie.
They could have showed the end. Just show the end.
And then pan it over to Grace, Daddy Warbucks, Annie sleeping.
And how fun.
Done.
Right.
They showed like 3 different scenes of that movie. Oh my God,
it was long. The whole sequence was long. The movie clips were long. And yeah, it's Greta Garbo, and they even call it out in the song in the beginning. And it's like, it would have been so funny. I'm reimagining this. You have Annie all excited about the movies, and it starts. They show the last scene of the movie, Annie's asleep.
Yes.
And they get to Grace, and Grace is a ball of tears. And that would have been funny and cute and relatable.
Great.
But that went on, holy Lord.
Yes.
Terrible.
That's my biggest negative of this whole
movie.
That
is my biggest negative as well.
And that's probably why this movie is so damn long. How long is this movie?
I should have timed that sequence.
That had to have been over 10 minutes.
Yeah, I easily.
Yeah.
I agree. My next, this also kind of falls in my negative. I didn't have too many negatives, I have to be honest. But you're never fully dressed without a smile. The reprise of that song is placed in the weirdest effing part of this movie, because you just find out that there's now a search for Annie's real parents, and that Daddy Warbucks is offering $50,000 to her real parents. Mm-hmm. So let's get the story going. This is a big moment, everybody. Let's do it. And for whatever reason, they cut to the orphans singing and doing gymnastics again. Singing, "You're Never Fully Dressed with a Smile."
I never understood that.
And that goes on forever, too.
I mean, they could have been listening to it, and
I think they probably did it on the radio. They heard on Mrs. Hannigan's radio,
which is fine.
Yeah.
You want them to understand what's going on. I get that. But they did not need to reenact that whole number. Mm-hmm. They could have done just the last verse of it or something if they really needed to. And I'm sorry that Molly did not do a very good job at that
Which
song.
One was Molly?
Molly's the youngest one. They cast her because she was cute, not because of her acting ability. I'm sorry.
Christina,
she was very, very cute. I know.
You're as bad as the Stinky Awards.
I'm so sorry. I am sorry. She's an adult now. She can handle it. But no, she was adorable, and a couple of things were really cute. I just think they gave her too much.
Well, I struggled with her as well.
Thank you.
Her first moment when Annie's singing "Maybe," and she wakes up and she's like, Annie. I'm like, Annie's trying to climb down from a pipe. Be patient. I'm sorry you had a nightmare. My God.
So
Yeah.
yes, I agree. We shouldn't have had that reprieve as long as it was. With the gymnastics and everything. The one thing that I did appreciate a little bit about that scene, though, was it didn't seem like most of these numbers, of course, seem like a big production number with talented actors and actresses and singers and dancers and all that. This one felt like it was a bunch of kids goofing around to a song they just heard on the radio.
That's fair.
Yes, that's the only reason why I liked that at all. But it was too long. They didn't need the whole song. They could have just done one verse of that song and be done with it, and fell down and cracked up laughing and be done. It would have served the purpose of them hearing about
being
what's
aware,
happening.
right?
And
because you do need to know. But I want to also say. The little girl that you don't like, she also overhears Rooster and Mrs. Hannigan talking about their big plan. So I would argue you didn't really need that reprise, but I would also argue it didn't need to be in that moment,
right?
Because it just slowed it down for me. Also, the orphans. So they know Annie's in trouble. That, in fact, they say the words "Annie's in trouble" about 8 times.
Many times.
So they escape. They are running down Fifth Avenue. And they actually are able to catch up to the kidnappers. The kidnappers have Annie. They are threatening her life. And they see Sandy in the car. Sandy jumps out. And suddenly every single effing orphan forgets their job. Mm-hmm. Like, they forget that they're supposed to save Annie, not pat Sandy and be all excited about Sandy.
Well, there was some confusion on my end. Did they even put together that Annie was in the car?
Oh, didn't they say that's Annie?
Did they say
that?
I
think they did.
I thought they said that's Sandy.
Ah, jeez.
So you might be right. You might be right. But I was confused as to why they cared so much about Sandy and not Annie. And I thought that maybe it was because they didn't realize that Annie was in that car.
Until when, though?
I don't know.
Because then they realized and they all started running again.
But no, the
car took off.
The car took off and they ran in the opposite direction to go to Daddy Warbucks.
Oh, right. Yeah.
They didn't chase them.
Yeah. Right. They could have just stood in front of the car and just...
The way adults treat orphans... They didn't stand a chance.
that would have changed some things. I gay gasped then, and I gay gasped now when Rooster punches Mrs. Hannigan's lights out.
That was crazy. What did I write?
Well, because I was also shocked that Mrs. Hannigan was like, "No, don't." She's like, "He's gonna kill her." And then she's like,
yes.
"Rooster, no, Rooster."
That, to me, was unnecessary.
Yes, it was, Christina.
I don't understand why they put that in this fun, whimsical musical.
Does he take out a knife? I can't remember. I read it, and so in the Wikipedia it says, like, there's a scene where he takes out a knife, and Mrs. Hannigan objects or something. I'm like, I didn't see it says a switchblade. I didn't see him take a switchblade out. But I guess in the play he does, in the musical does he?
For some reason I'm feeling like it happened, but not when Annie was in the room. Like, almost like, like he was threatening to do it, and she was like, no, we don't need to do that.
Okay, all right.
Do you know what I mean? But I don't have a clear...
Because she does say, he's really going to kill her. And then she's like, Rooster, no! And she runs after him.
And then he punches her in the face.
Out. So hard to... he knocks her out.
He knocks her out. And I guess you want that danger or whatever, but there was other ways that he could have
he could have just pushed her down.
It was scary enough.
He was very scary.
It was scary enough for him to be gaining on her while she's climbing up that thing. Yeah. And he's gaining her and gaining, and she's crying, and she keeps looking back. I'm like, don't look back, just keep going. It would have been just as effective if Miss Hannigan was trailing behind, still trying to save Annie, but she didn't need to be punched out.
No, that was really violent. And so do we think that Mrs. Hannigan actually cares about these girls on some level?
I don't know.
What does that mean? That was kind of a twist for me.
I feel like, it was definitely a twist.
Yeah.
And I don't think, for some reason I feel like other versions of this, Miss Hannigan has a different ending. that she goes to jail.
She goes to
and
jail,
all, right?
Yeah.
So
the other ending, she's like into it. She's like, get her, kill her. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
They were going to leave her on the side of the road or whatever. It was funny. I was actually talking to Emily about this recently, and she's been in the play. She's seen the movie several times, and I'm like, yeah, they were going to kill her. And she's like, they were going to kill her? Like, it didn't even, she didn't even realize it after all these times of watching it, that they were actually going to kill her. But I think that this has a softer ending for Miss Hannigan. I think that it was more, she was frustrated with her life.
She wasn't so evil. She was not a viciously evil person.
No, I think she was greedy.
She was greedy
and
annoyed.
Let's face it, she was a typical overwhelmed mother of many. Right?
A man
who doesn't want to just shove that kid aside.
Right. She was a man crazy drunk.
She just
offense,
wanted.
No, but she, because she's likable, and I think
she is.
And
likable.
I think the producers or the director probably were like, "Mrs. Hannigan's a great character. Well, let's not have her go to jail and have her be involved in this." Like, because then it would have
the day in a way.
She does kind of, because she slows him down, but also she. Like, because you know why? Because then you would almost on rewatch be like, oh no, Mrs. Hannigan's an evil lady. Like, it would change the first chunk of the movie and her motives. If she's willing to kill a kid, that's going to change the first half of what we saw.
Yeah, let's not have her be a murderess.
We didn't even talk about when it is said, like, in a line, where it's like, I have the other half of the locket. Annie's parents were killed in it. And I was like, wait.
Oh my gosh, I know. Oh my
God, that is a lot of information.
Yes.
Like, yeah, Annie's parents were killed. Poor kid. Well, we have her locket
Well,
here.
then she says, poor kid, yeah.
Poor kid, yeah. Okay, I feel like I talked way more than you. Are there any should we take a little break?
What, huh? What?
Ah! Christina
I just nodded off.
She just pretended to wake up. Do you want to take a little break and...
Yeah, we can take a little break.
Yeah,
sure.
I don't have very many.
I think
notes,
that's a good spot. Cool. You're very passionate about this movie.
Am I?
Yeah.
I watched it Friday.
See the passion.
I watched it just a few days ago. So.
All right. So we'll take a break. You can kind of compose yourself a little bit, and we'll be right back. Hey there, it's Brian and Christina. We just wanted to take this break to thank you for listening to Old Roommates, the only podcast that revisits pulp culture through a middle-aged lens. Please subscribe to Old Roommates on iTunes, Spotify, and wherever you listen to podcasts. And give us a rating or review while you're there.
And if you have any questions, comments, or observations, shoot us an email at oldroommatespod@gmail.com. And follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Old Roommates. Thanks for listening, and now, back to the show. Sounds like a very hard knock life.
It is a hard knock life.
Instead of...
Sounds like any day at my preschool.
Instead of treated...
Just kidding.
Instead of treated, we get tricked. Instead of kisses, we get kicked. That sounds like...
Santa Claus we never see.
Santa Claus, what's that?
Who's he? Oh my gosh, we're here all day.
I really could just recite every song.
Yeah, me too. Well, although I will say there were a couple songs that I was surprised about, like that song with Daddy Warbucks and Miss Hannigan.
Yes, yeah,
that was
probably
a surprise.
Not that.
And that whole, I remember Dumb Dog after it was like after they started singing it, but it was like I don't know.
Yeah. So I want to quickly say something about Anne Reinking. So I love Anne Reinking. She was a very talented dancer. She just passed away in 2020, December 12th, 2020. But she was with Bob Fosse from 1972 to 1978. Bob Fosse left Gwen Verdon in 71.
Okay, so you know that much. Do you know it was because of her feminine wiles?
I don't know.
Insinuated?
I did not watch the show on FX, like the dramatization of was it Fosse Verdon or whatever it's called. But I feel like I heard that in the past, like that's why he left Gwen Verdon for Anne Reinking. But I don't know. Allegedly,
she was very talented, and her legs were like she could flip them up over her head and everything. So Can't say I blame him. I did want to touch upon Tim Curry and Bernadette Peters.
We didn't talk about them at all.
No, they're so good. They're so good. I love Tim Curry, especially in movies like this where he's just so campy and fun and Clue, things like that.
Yeah.
He was so good. But Bernadette Peters is one of my all-time favorites. And I think we talked about it a little bit when we revisited The Jerk. But she's just so effortless in her acting.
Yes.
And I just feel like she doesn't even really need to say anything.
Mm-hmm. Her
expressions are so amazing. I just thought she was amazing. And I loved that whole Easy Street number was so good. The numbers were great.
Yeah.
I mean, all of the numbers, but the Easy Street one is so fun. It's just so comedic and sloppy.
Physical comedy.
It's so good. It was so good.
Yeah. Easy Street, that was original. So they allegedly built a $1 million street. And it was supposed to be this very big Broadway number for Easy Street, and for just that one song. And it was something having to do with the lighting or this or that or this, but they felt it was a little washed out, and you're kind of missing the point of the song. It was almost too big, and they decided to shoot it in the orphanage, which is much smaller, tighter.
It's so much more effective.
It is more effective because if you're already on a great big Easy Street. But if you're in this tiny little orphanage singing about Easy Street, it makes more sense.
And it's more real. I mean, let's face it, Brian. If we were singing about Easy Street, we would be dancing in the halls, going down the stairs. We wouldn't leave this house to do it.
That's right. Really fun fact about some of the orphans, and we'll get back to Tim Curry. I don't have any notes about them. That was probably one of my biggest rewatch realizations. I like them more this time around. When I was a kid, I didn't like the characters.
You're not supposed to.
Right.
So they did their job.
Yeah.
They were mean. They were going to kill Annie.
Yeah, they sure were.
You're not supposed to like them. And actually, another fun fact, Matt was in the production of Annie when he was in high school, and he played Rooster.
Wow. Matt is your husband, yeah.
Matt, my husband, yes.
He played Rooster.
Wow. Isn't that funny? He's just the opposite of Rooster. He's the nicest guy.
Yeah. I did think it was funny when she didn't recognize him.
Oh my gosh.
With a mustache
Back then and now. She did not look any different. He did not look any different. I'm like, how are these disguises? This is for the children's sake, obviously. So funny. I also felt it was a little bit funny and dramatic. Going back to Daddy Warbucks, after Annie has left to go with the parents, he's looking at her picture and puts it in a drawer. You don't have to put it in a drawer. You don't need to forget about her forever.
Maybe it hurt him to
Just
see
put it on a shelf or put it in another room in your house, in your mansion. But that was funny.
But he has everything he wants except Annie,
Everything.
And he doesn't want to see a picture or something he can't have.
I suppose. And I did think it was really funny that all it takes for Daddy Warbucks is one orphan to come up and say that she was kidnapped. There's no questions. There's no fact-finding. He's like, get everybody on the horn. He doesn't even question. He doesn't even know who these kids are. He doesn't even know who these kids are.
Well, I think they both had a weird feeling about Rooster.
They did.
Yeah.
Actually, in another version of the play, actually, it might just be the play. I don't know about the other movie. What happens is Grace goes to the orphanage, and I kind of like this version better. Grace went to the orphanage to tell Mrs. Hannigan that they wanted to adopt Annie. And Rooster was on his way out, and they bumped into each other, and he says, "Oh, pardon me, Toots." And then later at the mansion, when they were disguised as the parents, he walked by her and bumped into her again and said, "Oh, pardon me, Toots." And it wasn't until afterwards she was like, "I think there's something wrong with this guy. I think we need to do a background check." And it was a little bit more realistic in that way.
Yeah.
And then they figured it out. It wasn't the orphans who figured it out.
Got it.
So, anyway.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
Speaking of the orphans.
Yes.
3 of them went on to fame and acclaim.
Oh, let's hear it then.
Shawnee Smith. I don't know who's who.
I think she was Pepper.
So Shawnee Smith went on to do the Saw movies. She was also in
Oh my gosh.
the TV show Becker that was on for several years
Oh,
with
with Ted
Danson.
Danson.
And she was also in a great TV movie called I Know What You Did. And it's these two girls who make prank phone calls and they say,
gosh.
I know who you are. And I saw what you did. But they happened to prank phone call someone who just murdered someone.
Oh my gosh.
And the murderer comes after them. It's a TV movie, and it is so good.
Ooh, I want to see it.
Yeah, I saw what you did. And then another one was her name in the credits is Mandy Peterson, but it's Amanda Peterson, who is no longer with us, sadly, but she was in Can't Buy Me Love.
Oh my gosh.
And she was also in that TV show, A Year in the Life, which was, I really liked that show.
Oh my gosh.
And then
how
a
funny.
third orphan was played by Janet M. Jones, who would later go on to be in Staying Alive and A League of Their Own.
Oh,
and
good for
I
her.
feel like she was... am I wrong? I feel like she was a gymnast. She did a movie with Mitch Gaylord called American Glory or something.
Huh.
But yeah, those three orphans...
Well, that's nice.
went
I
on
actually wondered about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I looked up Molly and she didn't do much.
Well, did you look up Aileen?
I did a little bit.
Okay.
She didn't do much either.
Yeah, it's sad. She's quite talented in this.
Yes.
All right. Any
What
final
else?
thoughts before we get into our questions?
The only other mention I want to say is that last number with Daddy Warbucks and Annie. Oh my gosh. Let me start over. That last number with Daddy Warbucks and Annie. What's it called? I don't need anything but you. I don't need anything.
Yeah.
It's so cute. I just love that. I love that song.
Yeah.
I love the
Wait, how does it? It's like I'm
Together
poor as
at
a
last.
yeah. It's like
Together Forever.
and she's like I'm poor as a rat
Mouse.
mouse. I'm
I'm
richer
richer
than
than
Midas. We're tying a knot.
That's,
No. Something. No one on earth could ever divide us. Yeah, something like that. That's a good
but they're
song too.
so cute together.
They're
and
super
and
cute
she's tap
together.
dancing now. Like the last number, she's tap dancing
Yeah.
like really well.
Yeah.
Really cute.
He's good, and Albert Finney's great in this. He's so dedicated to Daddy Warbucks, like,
Yes.
and it's good. And it's listen, but I want to be clear. When I earlier comments, like I didn't want him to melt. Like I didn't want him to melt into this warm, loving father figure. But I did want more scenes with them,
Yes.
where he got to know her a little bit more.
Right, exactly,
You know, that's all.
exactly. And I will say that last number too reminded me a lot. It was definitely like a throwback to Shirley Temple. Because she had a lot of those tap dancing scenes, like on the stairs and up and down the stairs and things like that.
I love that last sequence. I love
sweet.
that last party. I love Mrs.
was-
Hannigan on the elephant. Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
And didn't you feel like that was an appropriate party for a billionaire to adopt a child? Like, don't you
Yes.
feel like it was definitely
Fun.
something he would
All
have done?
the orphans got all nice dresses and stuff.
Yeah.
And you get the sense that Mrs. Hannigan is being treated better and it seems happier.
Yes.
It's a definitely
Maybe
happy
getting
ending.
some treatment
Maybe
for
getting
her
some
alcoholism.
Oh, Mrs. Hannigan.
Mrs. Hannigan. Perfect.
Let's get to questions. I have a true match game question.
I have a match game question too.
Do you really?
I don't think this has ever happened.
No, this has never ever happened.
Bum, bum, bum. Do you want to go first or second? Doesn't make a difference to me. It'd be funny if it was the same question.
Oh my god. Well, I think
I don't think
we'll
you
see.
have
So,
my
do you want me to
question.
go first? Sorry, I missed it. Do you want me to go first
I
or
don't
you? Okay, so I'm going to ask my question first.
Okay.
Christina, did you hear that Pepper and Duffy are writing a tell-all book about what it was really like living with Annie in the orphanage?
Oh my gosh.
According to the book, Annie was so insufferably happy that she would even sing when she blanked.
I like the music.
Thank you, I think it's effective.
It's better than us going. Bum, 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 bum. All right.
Oh, wow.
I'm done. Easy.
Oh my gosh, this is very exciting. I have to write down mine.
Oh.
I'm sorry. No, I know. Well, no, I
You're
didn't.
so busy with the music. All right.
Okay. Christina, the tell-all book, Pepper and Duffy, the orphans, are writing a tell-all book about what Annie was really like. Apparently, Annie was so insufferably happy, she even sang when she blanked.
Took a shit.
Oh my god! Ah! Pooping.
Pooping! I love it!
Oh my God, Christina!
Yay, we matched!
All
Nice
right,
job.
that was
Nice-
good.
that was a good
That
question.
was
I like
good.
that question.
Yeah. How about
All right.
yours?
So mine is, once again, it's another match game question, which
This
is
is
kind of funny.
exciting. Oh, I'll get queued up.
Cue the music.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, little orphan Annie.
Yeah.
She did a little research. She did a little genealogy research.
Oh my gosh.
And she found out that she had a distant cousin.
Wow.
Yes. Debbie Downer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Debbie Downer from SNL fame. So, but the difference between her and Debbie Downer is she doesn't sing about the sun coming out tomorrow. She sings about blank coming out tomorrow. I don't even know what I'm going to write.
God.
All right. Do you have one?
I'm writing it right now. I apologize.
All right. I will reread. I can't speak today. Annie has a distant cousin, Debbie Downer. But she doesn't sing about the sun coming out tomorrow. She sings about blank coming out tomorrow. Brian?
Oh my God, wait.
What the hell?
I'm sorry. It's between two answers. I can't decide.
Brian, I apologize to my listeners.
All right, I have it. This might be too literal, but who knows? All right. It's not the sun coming out tomorrow. I put down, I had a few different answers. This is ultraviolet rays coming out tomorrow.
Oh, okay. No, that's pretty good.
UV rays, yeah.
You went a different way.
Can I tell you my other ideas though
Yes.
before you show yours? So my one idea was I was thinking out, but I was thinking like off, like
Sure.
almost like skin tags or like moles
God.
or like warts or something.
Gross.
And the other one is much too dark. But my first thought was like the COVID COVID cases in the news.
So mine
Yes.
matched most closely with the last one.
Oh no!
It says she didn't sing about the sun coming out tomorrow.
Yeah.
She sang about the new COVID variant coming out tomorrow.
That's good.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh! What
Oh
a
my
fun
gosh.
time with Annie.
Annie.
And that is it for us and for this episode of Old Roommates. Thanks for listening. Please subscribe to Old Roommates on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, and wherever you listen to podcasts. And give us a rating or review while you're there, please.
If you have an idea for the show or a suggestion or comment, you can email us at oldroommatespod@gmail.com. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Old Roommates. This is Christina.
And this is Brian.
Thanks again for listening. Until next time.